Going live on YouTube. Trying out GoldenEye. Alright, so this is going to be a shorter stream than the past ones, but we're going to be taking a look at both Xbox and Switch versions of GoldenEye. I'm gonna start on Xbox. We're gonna do multiplayer on Switch and see how that is. But we'll start with single player. I'm just gonna run through DAM on each version, and then I put a little graphic comparison together to also show. I mean, you can find the graphics comparison anywhere. I'm pretty sure it's already been done on YouTube. But I wanted it to at least like talk over and explain some things that are going on, at least to what I am seeing, because I don't have a bullet point, clear, comprehensive understanding of everything going on myself on this case. It's not been a study of mine. But yeah, we're gonna start on Xbox. I guess I'm gonna play on my TV. I'm not on my TV. I'm gonna play on my monitor. This is both versions are 30 FPS. You can play modded versions of the game at 60 if you want to. There we go. Keep that up. Yeah. So if you play modded, and I'm not exactly sure how far, because I don't think there's no, there wouldn't be a decomp or anything like that, but there is the modding for this game can go pretty far in terms of having really nice looking textures and frankly just not looking even like it's still running emulator. And it's really damn impressive if we want to go that. There's also, of course, the XBLA version, which was leaked. And I think that came out 2020. I mean, I think that was discovered 2021 or 2020. And if you want to play through the 360 emulator, you can. That is also an option. And I don't have that on hand. If I were to do anything like more substantial, I probably would throw that into a comparison. But anyway, again, this is the Xbox Series X running the game, and we're gonna take a look at later. There's some weird texture differences, and they don't look intentional, and I think they would be patched, but there's some right off the bat some texture issues that actually aren't really seen in the rest of the game. I got some multiplayer map comparisons just to look at things like that, and then there's also just the start of this, but there's pros and cons to both versions in terms of, I mean, actually in terms of everything, frankly. As terms of, in both in terms of what just looks nice on a modern platform, and also in terms of being accurate to the original. Both versions are missing a couple things one way or the other, and it's really weird and almost like, I wouldn't say off-putting, but it is weird that there's just off things about both versions. But yeah, both are emulation. This is still running on emulator. It's Crystal Dynamics, just like the rest of Rare Replay. All of Rare Replay is emulator. So this port was done, this emulation was done by Crystal Dynamics, and likewise the Switch version is also emulation, and it's really the difference goes down to key flavors of emulation and how you prefer it and what you're fine with. I think the most drastic difference is controls. This version, the Xbox version, just out of the box feels much more like a modern shooter, and it's controls really nice in comparison to the Switch version, which is by default the control scheme of the Switch version mimics the N64, and it does that because there is an official N64 controller for the Switch, and it kind of feels like it's meant for that out of the box. If you have that N64 controller, it'll feel pretty damn good. It's not gonna still like be one-to-one with the original, but it is far closer to it than this is. But with that, it doesn't feel as good to play. It doesn't feel as good to play the Switch version on a modern controller, like the Switch Pro controller, for example. And that's kind of unfortunate. You can, and what people have done, and what I'm gonna do too, is you can change in the Switch settings controls around so that it feels like a modern setup. But even with those control settings, I can tell you it's still like, the way it controls on Xbox is still feels better. God damn it. It still feels a bit better on Xbox, how it feels. Especially because this has like, the way they did it on the in the Rare Replay, control-wise, is they still separated the bindings up so that A and B, X and Y all do different things and nothing is overlapping like it was in the original, and so how it is in the Switch version, right? So everything is divided up across the controller, and you have analog movement, and that's a big one because in the way to give the Switch version more modern feeling controls, it's at the cost of analog movement, for the sake of having analog looking. Hello. So you get the best of both worlds right off the bat with Xbox controls if you don't have the N64 controller for the Switch. If you have that, you're probably set then, you know? Otherwise, it could be better. Yeah, it definitely could be better. Even with like the control switching, that is a band-aid in terms of how it feels, and it's kind of unfortunate. And then we will again, we're gonna take a look at the multiplayer later and see how, oh Jesus Christ, see how that is. Because there's in my experience with N64 Online, I played Mario Kart 3 with my friends in Texas and one in California. The latency for playing Mario Party 2 we played Mario Party 2, that's all that's available. That felt great. And I was really like shocked by that. So we will see. I have a friend who's gonna help out later, and we're gonna connect and see how it is. Because the one example I've seen going around is of across the ocean between US and Europe, and that's not the. I mean, that is a good example because yeah, it is like still mediocre. And you could do better. You know, the N64 doesn't... Oh, jeez. The N64 on Switch doesn't have rollback like it does on NES and Super Nintendo. And I'm unsure if Sega... if the Genesis has rollback. because it doesn't have rewind. So I don't know if Genesis has rewind. It most definitely did play better though. When I played, I played Gunstar Heroes with one of my friends all the way through, who has a bad bounty armor, who has a bad connection, and that felt pretty great. That was pretty damn playable. But yeah, so yeah, the Switch one, the real hang up on Switch is controls and some other emulation stuff will show. This is on normal difficulty, or secret agent, I guess you would say. Did I do them all? So I'm going to do just Damn on this, I'm gonna do Damn on Switch, and then we're gonna do multiplayer, and that'll be it. It's not gonna be a long stream. The ambition of streaming more on YouTube while also still streaming on Twitch and managing everything else I'm doing, I may have to reevaluate how I go about this, but that'll be for another time. But anyway, yeah, so Xbox version feels right in terms of having modern controls. They do a lot of things right. There's one more thing too in the settings. So the reason this game supports widescreen is just because widescreen was in the default game. Rumble and aim lock, those aren't settings on, at least Rumble is not a setting on Switch. Pretty sure. We'll look in a second. Emulation on PC wins again. Yeah, it is. It's the natural hang up on that is setting it up. When you do set it up, you can get some pretty great results. And if I were to personally play it, I would say I would either continue playing the Xbox version, or I would just emulate it on PC and set it up like that. Or XBLA, the leaked XBLA version, which again, I don't have here to show off. But the XBLA version is something to hold in high regard. And it really sucks that we couldn't get that version. Instead, we had to get both N64 emulation and both N64 emulation on Xbox and Switch. I'm gonna hide the capture card because Elgato doesn't like it when you go between resolution sources. The Xbox being 4K and the Switch being 1080p. So I'll give it a minute to figure that out. Apparently figured it out. Okay. Where am I? I was testing the frame pacing because I was reading about that, and I don't know if I would call the issue frame pacing on Xbox, but something's definitely not right about how it, like, kind of like a slowdown. Yeah, no rumble. Let's start this back up. So, with the control setup on Switch, right? You have to make this game on Switch play something modern, mostly because if you're not using the N64 controller, where by default the control scheme is already there, you're probably going to want to do some button remapping, which I've already had experience with. I do it for... I change my button mapping for Splatoon, so for dualies I can roll at the same time as aiming. But anyway, you have to swap the analog sticks, and then map ZR to ZL, or rather ZL to ZR, map B to R. These two are like optional. And then put L on ZL. And even then, the other thing, like I was saying, is in the original game, and I now have to use the right analog stick, by the way, to navigate the menu. So on the Xbox version, it divvies up which buttons do what. On the Switch version, it doesn't do that, so you have overlapping buttons like they were in the original game, but that's weird on a modern controller. Yeah, the texture thing is right here at the opening of Damn, and it's the textures on the wall. Also, this version it's so much more sensitive in movement, and again, you do not have analog movement because you give up analog movement for the sake of being able to both move and shoot on the left and right analog sticks, respectively. So that's the cost of that, and why it's... really, there should be like a, so the N64 app can already detect when you have one of its special controllers plugged in, because it gives you different sound effects in the menu when you use the Nintendo's official, retro controllers. So it'd be nice if there was like an automated way to just to detect what kind of controller you're using and then swap schemes. But yeah, in terms of controls, Rare and Crystal Dynamics rather put a bit more time into how it feels, just so everything felt right with an Xbox 360 controller, or rather Xbox Series controller. And that's why out of these two versions, I prefer it just because of how it feels. But though that might have to do with like the frame pacing thing. This has frame drops too, but these are like, this is how it was on original hardware anyway. So I mean, that's whatever. I am indifferent to like something like that when it was like a performance issue on the original system anyway. Though the other thing for controls is you really don't need the tightest controls for this game. Certainly nice that you can, but it isn't a requirement. Hello, boy. Especially if depending on the difficulty you play. It's not a huge deal. Like with Metroid Prime is a good example where I definitely prefer playing it with mouse and keyboard. But that isn't a game that requires mouse and keyboard because it's so puzzle based in the first place anyway, and it's not constantly focusing on shooting enemies. But yeah, those control differences, and I mean this is all minor in the first place. We of course are like it's really something special to be able to have this game anyway. Because if this game is such a licensing hell nightmare, right? The thing is that there's no, like, physical version of this. If you have Rare Replay, like the physical Rare Replay, you aren't entitled to this game. This is still, like, a separate app to Rare Replay. And yeah, it doesn't. Having Rare Replay physically doesn't entitle you to it. It's on Game Pass, which is how I'm playing. Because I don't think I own Rare Replay otherwise, but I do have Game Pass. But they don't want you to physically own it. They do not want you to have like a physical way to. They do not want you to be able to physically permanently own it. Even rather, like, dropping the physical part, you cannot, like, permanently own this version of the game. Neither the Xbox or Switch versions can be permanently owned. So they're prime, it's red flags. This shit will be going away someday. Sooner than the rest of the Game Pass and Switch libraries. This version will get, shelved. Yeah, re-license for 5 years when Switch 2 is out. Hopefully the Switch 2 is out, haha. Yeah, I can definitely see it leaving those services much before the other games do. But I don't know, we're on normal, so we don't have to worry about those. I mapped Y to reload just so it matched the Xbox version. So I mean, yeah, this game's gonna continue to be a licensing nightmare as well. So that is why, like, in the first place, it's not a bad idea. Jesus Christ, the sensitivity. It's not a bad idea in the first place to already be considering emulation. The HDMI port on your Switch is broken. Weird. You have another TV to plug it into. Hey, hello. You have another TV to plug it into to see. That's what I would do at first anyway. I don't think I have much health. And I already, like, I criticized the N64 emulation on Switch a lot already. I spent, like, when I started, I'm doing a Paper Mario playthrough on Twitch, right? And I've been criticizing it the whole time. And then I look up, like, I'm like, all these small issues that I complained about with, like, Paper Mario emulated on Switch, and then I go ahead and see how it's running, like, how it works on PC, and the smallest minute things that were my problem really are just always there. It doesn't matter what emulator you use. It doesn't matter if you're on original hardware. Some of the minute things are there. The things that are there in Paper Mario, though, is in the US version of Paper Mario on Switch, they added this intentional menu lag in the start menu. Now, you're not in the start menu a whole lot to begin with, but they did explicitly add lag and drop the frame rate when you were in menus. And it's also during one of the boss fights, they did the same thing. I get them all. Which is fucking annoying, but, I mean, I just can't figure out why they would do that. There's also some other N64 bugs. The fucking Mario 64 on the N64 app has this occasional warbly audio. Just for like a split second, the audio, like, the music will get out of tune. It'll like change pitch. And that has been there since day one. And it's still there, and it's so just... it's so aggravating. It's so aggravating the N64 is like this, and that Nintendo, of all people, cannot still get it right. So, are we gonna try floppy, where you just, if it doesn't work, you play it undocked? In the meantime, let me throw a... I got something in the meantime, chat. I did put a graphics comparison. I did render out one. So we'll just loop this while we set up multiplayer. So it's some like lighting things, but I mean this is more like which one is right, which one is more accurate. It's only the one perspective on each one because the multiplayer drops you in random spawn points. So I mean, and for the most part, this is still like a nitpicky. But I mean, that's kind of what we're here for, right? So. Really, it's the dam that just has the largest visual difference. The Switch version has all that fog that's not supposed to be there, which is common on Switch so far. And then here, the texture of the mountains is completely different. And it's like, which one's more accurate? I'm pretty sure I read the Switch one is correct, and that it is not correct on Xbox. I haven't seen it to compare, but you can probably see that in other graphics comparisons, because it's literally the first thing you drop into in the game. And that's so weird. Floppy, do I even have you added on Switch, by the way? Here, let me make this video loop for you. There you go. Switch is just raw N64 ROM, right? The one change they made for the N64, the Switch version's N64 ROM, is they removed the unused textures of the bonds. Which is really funny that for copyright reason, unused textures were removed. And those are the only things. Other than that, yeah, it's basically the same ROM. If you do have me, Floppy, you can just go to Play Online, and you should see my session in a second. Oh, I can also send an invite. Yes, I do have you added. So, 2 options there. Yeah, there you go. Three bars. So, same country, but, we got a lag. Now, what the N64 does... what N64 Online does is it will add input delay over time until things, like, smooth out. I really want us to clap. Unfortunately, I remapped ZR, so I can't do that. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about with the audio. Is it will try to not have much input delay, and then it will see how the connection is, and then it will add more input delay as it goes. So usually by the time you get into it, it'll balance out. But sometimes, like in this case, it doesn't. Especially if you're playing someone on Wi-Fi. But I mean, this has been solved with rollback netcode, but see, the thing is, and get in and test it. Oh, Floppy, did you change your controls? Are you playing with modern controls? Why am I looking up as I move forward? Oh, fuck me. You can't use the change controls. Because you need to set them in the main menu, or in the single player menu. You have to change how it controls there. Hold on, maybe we can go back. Hit A. We'll see if it's in the multiplayer option. Control style. Yeah, here we go. So I want it on solitaire. For Floppy, I'm not sure it'll make a difference without going into the Switch settings for it, but whatever. That's better. I used to, when I was young, GoldenEye was one of those games where we played it a lot. That audio warble is so funny. That is somewhat like the audio warble I was talking about with Mario 64, but it's way less severe. I don't think most people notice it either. Xbox ever has a share play feature the PS4 and PS5 have, you'll be able to do online. Yeah, I would hope so. They definitely have the infrastructure for it. Xbox could totally do that, you know? You could, yeah, the way you can stream, you can already stream your Xbox to your phone and everything. Yeah, share play should be something that Xbox does. That would be nice. I could imagine, If you, what is it, have the dev mode for the sandbox dev mode on for your Xbox. You could probably figure something out with PC controls to console. That's not worth it though. That's so much more effort than it's worth. Any good? This is Floppy is on a wireless connection right now with Switch is undocked. I don't know where. I think Floppy's West Coast as well. But I mean, this is one other person. Again, I have had better N64 online experiences than this. We could chalk it up to Floppy's control, especially for the reason it's inconsistent. That's the Wi-Fi, you know? But either way, I mean, right, the answer would be have rollback, and that would help out a lot. The Switch can't handle that, which is also actually a reason why some of the Switch N64 like choices in emulation that they've made are the way that they are. It's performance costs, and it's ways to save on performance. The Switch struggles to emulate N64. You were fast. Parsec UWP app. That'd be insane to imagine if they could get that working. Smoke crack with homie Hunter Beat and play this. Yeah, like I got off topic, but yeah, I did. This was one of those games where I was playing it and I was insanely young, so I didn't remember I was playing GoldenEye for a long time. I just remembered I was playing a console FPS game with my brothers, and then era of YouTube. In the era of YouTube, I see it online. It's like, oh, that's that game we used to play all the time. This was, that's all I remember. It was so an insanely fun N64 FPS game. More body armor. Cave isn't a map I remember, though. If I had to imagine, we probably played random. I wonder how I was. Shit, man. That kind of hurts. Again, it's a huge deal that we even get to like see these games come out of licensing hell. But I mean, multiplayer for FPS games has been, you know, there's a lot of progress that's been made in that field. And every way you look at it is kind of the worst way to do it. But again, things like rollback, the Switch cannot physically handle. Rollback requires having to in a sense, have the game and other options of inputs like rendering at the same time. The Switch ain't gonna do that. One thing I do at least understand about it is if you can have like a replay system that is to rollback's benefit, and it can be incorporated, and that is why you get. That is why the N64 and Super Nintendo have rewind, is because they also have rollback. But the reason N64 doesn't have it, Switch can't handle it. It's a very CPU intensive thing. That's why, like, you know, there was something like, say, Melee HD, You probably wouldn't... I don't think we should want that on Switch. We should wait until, there's a better Nintendo system that could handle it. We should have set this to, like, 5. So yeah, Floppy's playing with the default controls. I am playing with, them changed in the Switch settings. And again, if I could, I would much prefer if we could play the Xbox version online, because the Xbox version just controls so much better. Otherwise, though, there is input delay here, but the input delay is not terrible, and the trade-off is the stutters. The lag stutters, like when the audio warbles and it tells us in the bottom left about the connection. One thing is just, you know, the N64 was such a weird goddamn console, right? But, I mean, there are answers out there. Now, there's not a solution for everything. Like I was saying about Paper Mario, if you want to... like, I think a decomp would be the best way to go. Like, for Mario 64, definitely. Though that doesn't mean that everything, like, for Mario 64 on N64 isn't impressive. Especially the patches that can just make the game run better on original hardware. Like, that shit's really impressive, and it goes really far. Ocarina of Time decomp is another example, too. Sorry, I screen peeked. Sorry, Floppy. I wasn't doing it the entire time. I don't think it helped me out. Okay, it did help me out here. Now, the other thing about this is you can imagine if we had 2 other people here, you know? If we're having this connection like this... If we have a connection like this with just the 2 of us, you can imagine how it would be with 2 others. And yeah, that's why there's other, like, emulation issues that have fixes, but just aren't there on Switch. And it's so, like, unfortunate to see. I wonder, actually, yeah, no, if you do the XBLA version, then you could do Parsec for it. You might as well. In this situation, I think Parsec would be more bearable. I was talking about it with the Mario Party when I played Mario Party 3 online with friends, and there's even a VOD of that on Go to Bedcast, where 3 of us were playing Mario Party 3 on N64. Mario Party 2. 3's not up yet, 2. We played. And that was really, like, that was a really bearable experience, and it was completely playable the entire way through. We all have wired connections, but we are all across the country. And those are, you need those ideal conditions just for this, for N64 emulator online to work well. After this match, we will, we'll set it to like 3. Okay, we'll set it now. $10 minutes too. First the 5 points. You only live twice. There we go. Floppy, do you want to change your controls? In the, like the Switch menu, change controls so that it feels a little more modern? Because I can show you how to do that real quick. Yeah, sure. Alright, I don't know what'll happen to the N64 session. But it controls all the way down. You want to go to, once you get in here, go to control stick settings and hit both of these to swap the sticks. And then make sure change ZR to be ZL. And then change ZL to L. Otherwise in this situation, it's just not fair. It's just not fair at all. But I mean, if you want to just like play through, if you were to just like play through it for nostalgia, like the most casual like perspective on it, then probably, you know, nothing about the visuals really matters. The frame pacing crap on the Xbox version, it might not be noticeable. That some people might not be as sensitive to that. Can't remap with this controller? Aren't you using the Joy-Cons? Can't you remap the Joy-Cons? Because you're playing undocked, right? Or are you docked? Yeah, this does. Yeah, the and for a casual, I would probably recommend Xbox version just for the Hori Joy-Cons, the ones that feel like a gamepad. Oh, I know those ones. You can't remap those? That sucks. Alright, we'll just set it to, I guess you only live twice. And then we'll do that and then we'll run through the levels. Do you want to play Odd Job? I don't actually know what Odd Job changes, but... Oh, you don't have them unlocked. I don't have them unlocked, sorry. Is there a code for it? Like the good old days? Let's see. There's no code? Doesn't look like it. That's funny. Well, I guess that's why he's secret. I'm just reading the wiki, see what else is up about it. Due to his short height, he cannot be hit by normal auto-aim gunfire. That's hilarious. That is so fucked up. So, well, that's unfortunate. We'll see how it goes. But if you want the extra health, because it's just genuinely not fair. Do you want to change your control scheme back to 1.1? Because that's how it's intended. I only set it to the 1.2 for the controller on change scheme. Otherwise, controller 1.1 might work better. And then we'll see how it goes. This feels more familiar. This map feels a lot more familiar. It is so crazy that it's really nostalgic, because again, it isn't a game I directly remember the name of, but I do remember playing this game a lot with my brothers. I found ammo, but I haven't found gun. I have found ammo, I have found armor, I have not found gun. There we go. I'm wondering if there was like a map we always played. Normally, I would think we would have played random. I'm starting to think we didn't play random. Though this map does feel more familiar. Oh, you can't fall down anyway. This Sunshine even has its issues too. I didn't actually know that. I didn't give him too much credence. They really need this new Switch hardware, huh? But I mean, yeah, for GoldenEye, another example of that. But I mean, like I was saying while we were setting this up, for the casual, it's probably everything about it is probably whatever. Not much of, I don't think anything's a big deal besides the lag if you're playing casual, because if you're playing casual, you also probably don't have, you're probably playing on Wi-Fi, and that's gonna just make the N64 emulator worse for the way the online and multiplayer is designed for the N64 app. It is not Wi-Fi friendly. Let's put it that way. Oh, you're here. Oh, I found body armor. Dolphin runs fine on a hacked Switch or Nvidia Shield. It runs fine, really? I almost find it hard to believe. We might want to try different guns. We should go rockets, actually. That might help. This feels a bit more familiar, too. Even for the, in the grand scheme of things, though, all the issues Switch has, it would definitely help if it was just a little more powerful. God damn it. And I mean, yeah, no, for a casual, it's whatever. It's just the emulation things, and also when you think about what we could have had with the XBLA version, but that in itself, the XBLA version, that in itself is probably a licensing hell nightmare as well. When you do something like that, that is still owned by MGM, you know? So that is, they already struggle enough to get the original ROMs of the game, or rather, they struggle enough to publish the original ROMs of the game. Hahaha. God damn it! I can't imagine trying to license out that port, but it would be awesome if they did. I get a gun? I got a gun. Fuck. Alright, 1-1. Complex doesn't feel as familiar. K's we already did. That doesn't feel as familiar. These three have the same icons, but... Why didn't I start with? Oh, I literally did. There we go. I don't know. Not as familiar as it could feel. There are, I have a lot of like strange memories of games where I also still remember them like a bit different than they actually were. I can tell you some of the subconscious games that I have really like subconscious memories of that at first when I see them again, I'm like unsure if they were there, and then the more I looked at them, the more I realized it. Rampart for the NES? I think it was an NES game. Rampart. Sims Ants is a good example. Though that one, Sims Ants is so unique though, there was no way I was forgetting that. But I had a brother who was and still is like really into strategy games. So he played a lot of like Sims Ants, of course, but SimCity. God, a lot of SimCity. This is starting to look more familiar, like this area. But yeah, strategy and sim games, so Rampart also fits that bill. Shadowrun's another. My other brother played Shadowrun, and that one was like a weird one to remember because I really wouldn't be able to like tell you off the top of my head like a 3/4 angle Super Nintendo game. But then I look at Shadowrun and I was like, oh yeah. I don't even remember if I liked him. Shadowrun, I definitely didn't even play any of. I just watched it be played. There's that, and what was the other one? There was a Digimon RPG on PS1, and it took me a very long time to like convince myself what I was looking at today was the same memories of what I was seeing when I was younger. Like the locations in that game weren't the same as what I was thinking they were. Ouch. But otherwise, it was I definitely played and watched Digimon, the PS1 RPG be played, the first one. There were multiple Digimon RPGs, and then GoldenEye is another one of those where I had memories of what it looked like and no memories of what it was actually called until the YouTube era. The lag's been better this match, but I mean, we haven't been really doing anything besides trying to find each other. Okay, I'm going up. I'm close. Ah, well. That was library. This is basement. But I mean, these ones look so damn similar. That's different. Nah. That's all I got. Oh, you got body armor already too? Damn it. I keep missing the gun on the ground. It's so small. mediocre game. 2 more maps, and then we'll call it. See, there's you know what else could be said is about Tony Hawk, the XBLA version of Tony Hawk, the one that was a remake of 1 and 2. Oh, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. The one that was a remake of 1 and 2 that was on XBLA, and it was like a $5 or $10 just XBLA title, and on PS3. That was, you know, that's a really mediocre game, and that's sets the bar way lower than this does. But in terms of like, I guess it's kind of good that we got it, number 1. And maybe for a casual, I can't imagine like it not bothering anyone how floaty that game is and how just like poorly put together it is. Even though it's from what I had researched for the video on it, it was reportedly based on Neversoft's code, but they clearly, you know, they clearly fucked it up. They tweaked way too much about it. At least in the same token that it is kind of a miracle that that kind of thing existed, and for a casual, they might not mind the overall change in how it plays, but for the legacy of the titles, for the legacy of Tony Hawk 1 and 2, and here the legacy of GoldenEye, they probably deserve a little bit better, you know? Even the fact that, like, it's not as accurate as it could be. Forget about, like, upscaling it. Forget about, like, remastering it to make it feel modern. Just emulating it accurately is not, like, a bar that it meets. And I mean, for some, it doesn't need to go any further. It's whatever. I don't want to play this online. I would rather play this in person. This would be like, you bring the Switch to a convention. Oh, hello. Floppy jump scare. Like, you bring your Switch with you somewhere and you can play with friends locally that way. That's what this would be great for. Actually, you know what does actually give me hope for this game lasting longer? This will be something I'm gonna eventually touch on in a video of another port review. But remember that they put the first... Actually, it might not, because it happened so shortly. They put the first Fire Emblem and localized it even. The NES one. They put it on Switch. They updated it with rewind, in turn rewind, and localized it for the first time. And they put it on Switch. And then they, like, for a limited time, they put it on Switch for a limited time. And it's not part of the N60. It's not part of the NES app. Yeah, no physical release. It was just a limited digital download. And then it was gone forever. And we just kind of accept that, and it's so shitty that, like, you can't buy that anymore. If you didn't know about that and you were curious about it, you're too late. It is impossible for you to get it legitimately. You will now have to sort to other illicit means to play that version. If you so desire, you could just play another version of the first Fire Emblem. God damn it. Wasn't that Fire Emblem game using the Wii U's NES emulator? That would be weird, because it's on the Switch. Do you still mean at Wii U? That would explain why it's separate, but I feel if they were going to let this, like, I mean, all they have to do for the N64 app is just update it and remove it. So maybe in that token, it is worse off. Yeah, because if all they have to do is push an update and it's gone. So there won't even, you would have to just not update your N64 app and you would get to keep playing it. At least for Fire Emblem, you bought it once, you can still, like, get it again. I don't even know if the listing is still up on the eShop to, like, re-download it. Damn it. This shit sucks, man. This limited time bullshit, not owning your own games. It's such a fucking nightmare, and it sucks. That's right, the N64 and all the apps require you log in every 7 days because it's part of your Switch benefits. You have to be online. Yeah, that's what when I was streaming Fire Emblem, I was told to. Thank you, Flappy. You're good to go. Thank you so much for joining me and being able to show this off so that I didn't have to just play single player for an hour. I really appreciate it. I don't know if we'll play this on Friday. We can give it a shot. If you get your wired connection working by Friday, we can play it on Friday. And play more modes, play more characters, and all that. If we're still on Wi-Fi, we might be in for a rough time once we throw Cal into the mix. But anyway, yeah, I was told during the Fire Emblem stream to check out the remake as the next game I play in the series. So I'll probably do that. What do you mean, Floppy Zinkage? Okay. That was scary. Yeah, no, at least for the casual, it is whatever. You can play it. In the long term, it sucks, and for like the legacy of GoldenEye itself and being this iconic N64 game that some of us remember from our childhood and had fond memories of. I mean, if I had the friends over, and you know, just like back in the day, if you have the people over to play it locally, you still get it, yeah. But in terms of, like, the quality can be better, that's basically it. All this nitpicking that we've done the entire time, all it's leading up to is they could do better. They could do better. And I would like to have seen them do better too, but that's up to who you ask. And if you want better, there are other options out there. They require more effort than just for like this. It's just download an app and start it up and you're good to go. You know, that convenience is a huge thing for people. Though that is also a point for like I have to imagine, I have never set up the 360 emulator, but that one probably goes up a lot easier. I know for the original Xbox emulator, they made a from scratch BIOS to use with it, so you didn't have to download a BIOS illegally. You could just use the from scratch one. I don't know if the 360 has that. Said Effie was a modded Wii U VC NES emulator, like running on Switch. That's interesting. That might be why they did it. Because they did in that situation, because the Fire Emblem, that version of Fire Emblem has we can start it up if we want. This version of Fire Emblem, not there. Ooh, that was a close one. That version of Fire Emblem has more settings to it. This one. It has like rewind and everything. Not and everything. It's light on features, but again, it's totally localized. And it just rebooted back to where I was, which is something something I wasn't expecting. I would much rather it have reset. Anyone know a soft reset button? Oh, there we go. Yeah, because it has all this built in. It was X button. Turn, rewind. These are, yeah, these are Wii U features. Create bookmark. Yeah, that works like a save state. That is not a... The bookmark is a save state. So, that's funny. Yeah, okay, I could believe it. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, so all these features that they added are why it's separate than the NES app. But the thing is... I mean, it would have been nice if they could just, like, patch this in anyway. But they still haven't made an exception for that. Again, the only reason GoldenEye is widescreen in the N64 app is because the original game was widescreen. So ideally, when they add more Rare games, because all of Rare's N64 games are 16:9 options for them. So hopefully that'll still be supported there. Anyway, so that's about it. I think I've talked about all I could about this. It is not my... GoldenEye is not, like, my thing to keep up on. I think we've taken enough of a look at it, and... Actually, you know what it is? There's really not too much more to say on the situation. There's clearing up misconceptions, like the fact that GoldenEye on both Xbox and Switch is emulation. Neither one is a port, they're both emulated. It's clearing things up like that. This is just a licensing nightmare of a game. And things like that. There's clearing that up, but otherwise there really isn't much more to say on this. I would like to do another Fire Emblem stream actually this week. But I am pressed on how often I'm streaming. So I still want to do it. I want a Fire Emblem Engage stream that goes better than the last one. So that's why I want to do it. I think I'll do some paralogs during it. So it's not the online stuff, but it's not main story spoilers either. That's what I'll do tonight on Go to Bedcast on twitch.tv/GoToBedcast. I'm going to be playing with friends a Metroid Prime 1 and 2 co-op multi-world randomizer, which means that key items that we all need are randomized and split up amongst everyone's game. Quit telling me to go to bed and then don't watch the channel. So all of our key items are split up between all three of our games for each other. And we're doing that. On Friday, we're gonna try to stream GoldenEye on G2B. Do you like Tony Hawk? I love him. I also love the games. Yeah, I love the games. That's what I'm gonna do on Friday, is trying multiplayer GoldenEye with more than just 2 people, and we'll see how that goes. FE1, FE3 Book 1, and FE11. What do you mean, FE3 Book 1? But yes, I do want to do... Echoes... No, yeah, I definitely do want to do it. I want to dip into Fire Emblem videos. That'll happen eventually. The main thing is, there's a million games I gotta do right now that are, like, coming out right this second. And I'm already missing a bunch of them. FE3 has a part of a FE1 remake of FE1, with some of the chapters cut to make space for FE3's new content. I'm going to write that down. I'm copy-pasting that into notes. Because I am going to eventually take a look at Fire Emblem, and I'll probably start with the first game and the second game. Oh, and definitely the fourth game, because assuming that FE4 is being remade, and those rumors are true. If there is an FE4 remake, I'll definitely take a look at it. I am hoping you feel better, Roxy OVR. I wish I had a more substantial thing to help get your mind off things. I think you would have to go back for the rest of the VOD, because I've just been live and I need to take a break for now. So yeah, I was just wrapping things up. Again, thanks everyone for tuning in. I'll be on Go to Bedcast on Twitch in like an hour or so, doing what I was saying. And yeah, more going on there. But on YouTube, yeah, the Persona 3 port review has started, and I've gotten that going now, and we'll have more streams in the week, probably Fire Emblem, so that's what to look forward to. So till next time, thanks for the continued support, everybody.